Hello, hello. We are live. Whew, it's early. Just gonna wait a second. Hello, hello. It's so weird when, you have a new channel and you're waiting for people to come, but people may not come. So you may actually just be talking to yourself for a couple minutes. Awesome. I do see somebody's watching. Whoever's watching, if you can be in the chat box and talk back to me, that would be awesome. While I wait for other people to come. Oh, yeah. Oh, wow. Hey, straight shooter. Hey, what's up? Let's see. Let me get here. Well, thank you for being here. I was scared for a second. I was like, is anybody coming? But predictions for the Arsenal game later. I mean, if I'm honest, I don't think we're going to win the game. I think that it's going to be tough because Man City is in such good form. And although I think we're playing better, I'm not necessarily confident that we're going to get anything from this game. I think we'll rotate. So I'm going to say 2-0 Man City. 2-0 for sure. Who do you follow, straight shooter? Are you an Arsenal fan, or or do you follow somebody else? Let me know in the comment section. Yeah. So basically, this is a show that I'm going to be doing daily, and it's going to be live. So my hope is that I can get people in the chat box to talk to me during these shows so we can make them fun, So that is my goal. Just going to wait a couple more seconds to see if more people come, and then we'll go ahead and get started talking about Haaland. Hello, if you are watching, just get in the chat box and say hello. Let me know who you support, what games you're watching right now, or what games you're going to watch today. Just let me know. Yeah, like I was saying, this is going to be a daily show that's live, and it's going to come out the same time every single day, which is 2 p.m. UK time and whatever time it is Eastern. It's 6 a.m. for me because I'm in Los Angeles. So, and we're just going to cover broad football topics that are, popular. And again, my goal is to have people in the chat box that, I'm actually talking to during these during these. Oh, so you're an Arsenal fan. Yeah. So basically, I don't expect much from this game, obviously, for obvious reasons, right? Because we didn't rotate against Benfica. We didn't get the result that I think that Arteta wanted. So now going into this Man City game, we're going to have to rotate in order to play our strongest team against Benfica in the week. So I don't know. What is your prediction for the game? And do you think that Arteta should go with a stronger lineup today, or just kind of like rest people? What do you think? Yeah. So the first thing I wanted to talk about today was Haaland. So if you guys were watching well, I'm sure you didn't even have to watch the game really to see the goal against Schalke yesterday, but Erling Haaland is somebody that, you know, I've I've been kind of watching, but because he's so hyped up, I don't, I'm trying not to get sucked into the hype. Yesterday, I was sucked into the hype. Like, this kid is phenomenal. And what I at this point, I'm like, okay, he's 6 foot something, right? He's like 6'4", and he's physically dominant. He's fast and he's super aggressive, even on the dribble. Like, I've never seen a player like this before. And I think he's gonna just like literally terrorize people. Like, it's insane. Let's see. Hey, just watching Arsenal prediction 3-0. Man City. 3-0. I mean, I would say 3-0 maybe a couple months ago, but I think we've improved enough defensively to not get blown out 3-0. I don't think we'll score. We don't score against Man City in the league, so I do think that we won't score any goals, but I don't think they'll score more than two. If they do, I mean, wow. And my biggest thing with this game against Man City is that I want to see a performance and I want to be able to analyze the game afterwards. A lot of times we're not able to even analyze games against Man City because either we didn't even show up for the game, or we get a red card or something silly like that. So my biggest hope for this game is that we actually put in a performance, we keep it close, maybe we keep them off of the scoreboard for 60 minutes or so, and we actually try to play them. That's what I want to see. We have nothing to lose because we're not expected to win this game. So as long as we put in a performance, we keep it tight, and there's something to analyze at the end of the game, meaning we don't get a silly red card or something like that. I think that's the best case scenario for us right now. We're definitely a mid-table team. I stand by that, and I don't think that we have enough to beat them at this point. It's not a cup game; it's a league game, and they're in excellent form. I think they're due a loss, but I'm not sure it's going to come from us. So yeah, that's what I'm expecting from this game. Just let's actually be in it. Hey there. Hey guys. So everybody that's in the chat right now, I know there's not a lot of people, but I don't care. I don't care if it's one person or 100 people. I just want us to kind of keep talking about current topics, wider football topics, and we can talk about Arsenal, Manchester City. That's fine, but that's just what we're going to do here, regardless of how many people are actually in the chat. So yeah, just going back to Holland, like, there's so many questions that I have about this player. How is he able to jump the way that he did? He was parallel to the ground on that goal, and it was very Zlatan-esque, which was impressive to me. And what I really like about Holland is he seems to feed off of competition, and he's definitely an alpha player. He's not afraid to be the one to take the team on his shoulder. You saw that yesterday in the derby, he was pumping his teammates up, and for a young player, that's really impressive to me. And I cannot wait to see where he ends up, because he's not going to stay at Dortmund that much longer. I know that he has, let's see, his release clause from Borussia Dortmund will be activated in 2022, and it's 75 million. And I'm sure somebody is going to come knocking for him. What do you guys think? Where do you think Erling Haaland will end up? I personally think he's going to end up at Man City. I think he's going to follow his dad's footsteps and end up there. I think he's the perfect option for Pep and this new revamped Manchester City side. They definitely need a striker, with Aguero looking like he's at the end of his career there. He's going to be a free agent, going into the summer. And I don't see Man City going after anybody but the top target at this point. They need a world-class striker, and being able to acquire somebody like Erling Haaland with such, he has such a ceiling, like a high ceiling at this point. Like, he's at the beginning part of his career. So I do see him going to Man City. Where do you guys think he'll end up? I know that a lot of Chelsea fans are hoping that they can get Erling Haaland, but I almost feel like him and his entourage are too smart to let him go and become a part of the circus that is Chelsea at this point. There's not a lot of evidence, for Haaland and his entourage to feel like if he goes to Chelsea, that'll be a good step for his career. They're just collecting the best young talent and not doing anything with it at this point. You can see that with Werner and Kai Havertz and players like that. So I don't think he'll end up at Chelsea. But yeah, you guys in the comment section, just let me know where you think Erling Haaland is going to end up. Yeah. So, but yeah, I think Holland is, yeah, he's not coming to Arsenal. We know that for sure. We're not even in the race for that. And I know that there's some Arsenal fans that think that, somehow if we get Odegaard, that he'll become an agent to get Holland at the Emirates. But he's beyond us at this point. Let's see. I think he'll end up at the club who's going to be in desperate need of a striker and is willing to put in the biggest offer. So time will tell. Yeah. Yeah. And that could end up being somebody even outside of the Premier League. I know I'm an Arsenal fan. I know I'm an Arsenal fan, and I know that I probably shouldn't want to see him in the Premier League if he's not coming to Arsenal, but I wouldn't mind seeing it. Definitely City or Madrid. Yeah, for sure. I think yeah, but I mean, does Madrid have the money? They're struggling to offload some of their players and, they're not necessarily in the best financial situation at this point, so I'm not sure if they'll be able to stump up the 75 million for the release clause to get him, but I can see him at a Real Madrid. Haaland is elite. His physical gifts and technique and spatial awareness, total shots per season, and goal scoring record at this young age makes him top tier forward for the next decade. I think so too. I mean, just the fact that he's at the beginning of his career and he's able to perform at this level just shows you like not similar to Saka in terms of like, them being on the same level, but the mental part of the game is something that you don't really see the young players that they're not really able to, you know, to add that mental fortitude part of the game at such an early age. And you only see that from certain players like Haaland and Mbappe, players like that. And it's just insane how, I mean, just the physical qualities are great, but the mental qualities to me is what really impresses me about him. Yes, I am feeling okay. Like, so here's what my setup is about. So I have this like really big like light in front of me to make sure that you guys can see me. And then the heater's on. So I'm hot, first of all. And I also have a small cold. So I'm just trying to like keep my little tissues near me. So thank you for asking. But yes, I am fine. He would be a great fit for any top club, Man City, Real Madrid, or Bayern, most likely, in my opinion. Yeah, I didn't think about Bayern, but do they need him at this point? Like, do you think that Lewandowski is going to be, is going to like be ending his career anytime soon? He seems like he's going for a Zlatan type, career at this point. I'm not sure that I can see him at Bayern, but I definitely can see him at Real Madrid or Man City. And what do you guys think in the comment section about this new, rivalry between Mbappe and Haaland? Like for me, it seems a little manufactured. I don't really see it because, for me, the whole Ronaldo and Messi, you know, rivalry was more realistic because they played for teams that were actual rivals in the league that they played in, in La Liga. So for me, I'm not really seeing how it's actually a direct competition. I also think that Mbappe is further along in his career than Haaland. They haven't really come up at the same time. Mbappe's been around for a lot longer. So I don't really think that it's a natural rivalry, but just for argument's sake, who do you guys think is the better player at this point? Is it Mbappe or is it Haaland? Let me know in the comment section. For me, I think that between the two, I think I like Mbappe better as a player, but I think Haaland is coming into his form right now. So we're looking at him and we're like, "Oh yeah, he's the shiny new thing." But for me, Mbappe has been so good for so long. Like he's been an elite player since he was like 18, 17, 18, playing for Monaco. So for me, I think Mbappe is the better player. And he scares me the most. Like if we were to play against Dortmund or we were to play against PSG, I'd be more afraid to play against PSG because I'm deathly afraid of Mbappe. That's just lightning speed, clinical finisher, tricky, aggressive, just an animal. Mbappe 100%. Yeah, I agree. Feel like fans are desperate for a new Ronaldo Messi feud and never got the hype around who's better anyway. Like I think that's the thing with fans is like we always want to be able to, kind of compare things and make one thing better than the other, but I don't even think that they're that comparable because they play so differently. Mbappe reminds me so much of Henri in the way that he likes to play in that half space on the left-hand side, cut in on his right and curl the ball into the corner. Like he's more of a running forward to me, where Haaland is more of like a he's not really a target man because he's mobile, but he reminds me more of just like a center forward that's like physically dominant. So it's hard for me to really see the comparison besides the fact that they're two young players. They're miles better than anybody else in their age range, and they're just both in form at this point. The rivalry is a bit manufactured, but it's the most obvious upcoming rivalry. Yeah, I get that. I get that. I think that I do agree that it can be something amazing if we just let it kind of manifest itself naturally, but we don't want to like push it to the point where it just doesn't make sense. Let's see where these players are in a couple years. Let's see. I'm more excited to see what happens with Haaland with his release clause, where he ends up and how he, grows as a player. And I just think also with Mbappe too, I'm not necessarily sure that I would be excited for him to stay at PSG for much longer. I think that I would like to see him somewhere else. I don't see him at in the Premier League. I don't see that at all. But maybe he makes a move and, maybe that changes the rivalry a little bit more. It's about personal preferences. For me, Mbappe is out of this world. He's the closest. Exactly. That's exactly what I see. I see, when you have players come up out of nowhere and they start to compare them to Thierry Henry, it's like, not really. But for an Arsenal fan, when you see it, you know it. And it's definitely Mbappe. He has shades of Thierry Henry written all over him. And he is one scary player and he's still so, so, so young, you know? And I did see that on Twitter, there was a conversation about Neymar as well. And I think that, for me being such a big Brazil fan, Neymar to me is just, he's, although he's kind of revered as the top Brazilian talent at this point, he doesn't add anything, substantial to the table, but the fact that he has talent. He doesn't He's just kind of lost in the mix. He's like 27, 28 now. And what does he have to really show for it? He gets injured a lot. He's a known party animal. And I think there was a space of time between Erling Haaland and Mbappe and Ronaldo and Messi that could have been the Neymar years, but it just kind of got lost because he never could sustain like a long run of form. He just hasn't really done much. But I think he's supremely talented and probably as talented as the players that I just mentioned. Mbappe is a better player, but I think Haaland will end his career with more goals than Mbappe. That's it. That's an interesting, why do you feel that way? Why do you feel like that? Do you feel like it's, just maybe because Haaland is just like an all and out, like just goal scorer and Mbappe does other things? Why do you feel that way? But yeah, just back to the Neymar thing, it's just so disappointing because there was just that space where we're waiting for another world star to come through, and really Ronaldo and Messi just kind of carried that through, and Neymar just kind of got lost in there, but I think he has that same elite talent that they have, but he doesn't have the mentality, and it's just unfortunate. First time I saw Mbappe at Monaco, shades of Thierry Henry and Ronaldinho predicted he'd be the world number one, and I'm not disappointed. Yep. Yep, and that's the thing is it showed up even really early in his career. Like, it's not like it's something like he just came out of nowhere, like, he's been doing this, like, I remember when Monaco was playing Man City in the Champions League, and he was terrorizing them, and he must have been, like, 17, 18 at that point. So, yeah, Mbappe to me at this point is the number 1 talent, but I do see Erling Haaland having a very long career and a good one. Neymar could have been Messi's successor at Barca, but he thought the grass was greener at PSG. Clearly very talented, but there's something that stopped him. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, he should have just stayed at Barcelona, but you notice, like, he's always the number 2 man in every scenario that he's in, and that I think that speaks more to his personality as being the type of player that you can't count on, and he doesn't have an alpha mentality. He may have alpha talent, but he doesn't have alpha mentality, and that's the difference between Ronaldo and Messi and then Neymar, which is just unfortunate. I mean, his to be 27, 28, and have pretty much nothing to show for it at this point is really disappointing for a player of his caliber. Yep, talent-wise, Neymar is up there with the very best, but got lost among the circus, and that's exactly what it's just he just floated away. Like, I just don't see much for him at this point in his career. I mean, is anybody gonna stump up the cash to buy him? I don't think so. Barcelona is definitely not in any sort of financial situation to be able to bring him back, and he's just there at PSG, and Mbappe is the main man there. Neymar's just the complementary piece to it, and he's sometimes there and sometimes not. So something else I wanted to talk about in this, little rant that we're having here is Klopp and Liverpool. So I'm sure you guys watched the game yesterday, and to me, that just put the nail in the coffin for them. I really don't think that they're going to make it into the Champions League or qualify for Champions League this next season. Um, I think he really ran these players into the ground. I know that a typical Klopp team is about what the starting 11 plus about 3 other players that play, and then that's the squad that he uses. He likes a small squad, and when you sign up to be a Klopp player, you know that you're going to play day in and day out. And I think people forget that, like, Liverpool may have been really successful for the last 2 years, but they've actually had this same team in the majority of this team for the last 3 to 4 years. So Mane and Salah and Henderson and these players and Gini Wijnaldum and all of them, even pre Virgil van Dijk and Allison, have been running their socks off for years. And the type of football that they play without having proper rest is only going to lead to these types of injuries. And I think they kept their bodies going just long enough to win the league, and now they're done. The majority of their team is 29 years old. Van Dijk is 29. I know Matip is like at least 30. They're all like that age. Wijnaldum is 30. Thiago's 30. Salah and Mane are 30. Firmino is 30. So seeing that to me, I don't think they're going to make it into the Champions League. What do you guys think the future of Liverpool is going to look like next season? Do you think that some of these players are going to leave and they're going to start to rebuild? Do you think Klopp will leave? What do you think is going to happen with Liverpool moving forward? It's mad that they may not make top 4. Even when Virgil van Dijk got injured, nobody could have predicted this downfall. Yes. I think that's the thing. It's like starting off the season, you can tell that they were a little off of it. They didn't look typical Liverpool, but I think if they had been able to keep some of their players fit, they wouldn't be where they are right now. I think the injuries have just killed them. It's killed them off. But I also think they're not gonna come back from this. I don't think it's a matter of just get everybody back fit and they just go back. I don't think. I think that this is the start of them needing to start to rebuild. The team is too old, and quite frankly, I think some of them need a new challenge. Liverpool had burnout issues before last 2 seasons, but Klopp adapted well this season with preseason. They were specifically vulnerable and now it shows. Exactly. I think, you saw shades of it, but I think when you're working towards something and you're pushing yourself, your body can do things that maybe is outside of what it should be able to do, but your mental fortitude pushes you. And I think that that's what was happening with this team. I think they pushed to get that title. And then once they relaxed, they couldn't get back up. And now they can't physically do it anymore. I think this team is done. I really do. The owners of Liverpool failed to back Klopp in the transfer window after we won the Champions League. Okay, so you're a Liverpool fan, so you would know. You would know. So, what do you mean they didn't back Klopp in the transfer window? Was he asking for something specific? Was it he was asking for more center backs or, just more squad players? What was he asking for that he didn't get? Because that's something I wouldn't know because I don't follow Liverpool the way you do. But yeah, watching them yesterday was like, and Mane is one of my favorite players in the league, like by a lot. The only reason why I watch Liverpool is to watch Mane, and just looking at him, you could tell he's frustrated because he was making silly fouls and just things that he naturally would be able to do, just be able to beat players and simple things he wasn't able to do. And I just think the the physical nature of this team, the fact that they are crumbling physically is hurting the mental part of their game as well, and they're making bad decisions. When they get everybody back fit, it's a scary squad. I think they'll be back next year, even if they sell a star player. Maybe that's just a matter of it too, that they need to sell maybe one of their players, probably somebody in that front line, either Mane or Salah, and just kind of go again. But again, I still think that the team is a little old, and I think that they need to rebuild it just a little bit. Jota did look really good for them. I think that that was a really good pickup for them. It's really unfortunate that he got the injury that he did because he was doing so well. And I think if they could bring in maybe another player in that midfield, or maybe Curtis Jones could step up as just to give this team a little bit of youth. I just think when you run your legs off, it's hard to get back. I can't see it. I cannot see it. But yeah, I mean, what is this? Will they even wanna stay if they're in Europa League? I think personally, I think the player that will go is Salah. I don't see him playing in the Europa League with Liverpool in a rebuilding type of scenario. I just don't see it. Liverpool got Thiago, Jota, and others. I don't know how accurate it is to say he wasn't backed. Well, I mean, he said after they won the Champions League, so that's a year before this past summer. So that's what I wanna hear. I also feel like I also feel having a preseason would be a welcome challenge change, not just for Liverpool, but every team. But are we gonna have a preseason? You guys are forgetting like the Euros are coming this summer. So are we gonna actually have the preseason that we think we're gonna have? I mean, the majority of their team is gonna be in the Euros, isn't it? I mean, besides, let's see. Maybe not. Maybe they can get some players some rest and get a preseason, but some of them are gonna be in the Euros. So that is also gonna throw a wrench in the whole idea that we're gonna have like this, this preseason. I still think we're gonna be seeing these types of injuries. But yeah, I think Salah is gonna be the one to go. That's me. If I had to like, okay, which one of these players are gonna go? I don't see Salah playing Europa League with Liverpool at 30 years old. I just don't see it. But Wijnaldum will leave because I think he's still gonna go to Barcelona. You can let me know music by Pumpkin, but I think he might still be going to Barcelona. But past there, where is the rebuild going to happen? What kind of players are they going to bring in to revitalize this team? The LFC front line and midfield probably needs some refreshing. That's what I'm saying. I think it just needs maybe 1 or 2 players to come in and just young players to come in. Thiago is old, young players to come in and to refresh this team, you know? And are we sure that Klopp is gonna stay? Is Klopp maybe the issue? Maybe they need to bring in another coach. I know I was seeing some Liverpool fans on Twitter, albeit, you can't really I know all Liverpool fans are not the same as this particular person, but I did see quite a few calls for him to leave, so I don't know. Maybe they're looking over and thinking that the grass is greener with somebody like a Gerrard, but I don't know. He needed backup wingers for Mane and Salah after we won the Champions League, but they didn't sign anybody. Yeah, I think that that's a huge issue is that it's such a small squad, and the way you guys play, you need backup. You just need backup. It just looks like the team is so tired. I don't know what it looks like. I don't know what Liverpool with a bunch of 30-year-olds in Europa League looks like. I actually feel like it could be Mane. I think he shows signs of frustration often. There were rumors he was getting along with Salah, not passing him the ball, or he wasn't getting along. Sounds silly, but you never know. Yeah, you never know. You really never know. It could be any of them, but I think somebody is leaving this summer for sure for them. I think FSG and Klopp are a great fit. Don't see him leaving soon. Yeah, I don't think he's gonna leave. I just think that, when somebody's not doing well, it's that, what is it called? When you are just recency bias. That's what it is. It's like he's not doing well right now, and you just forget all the things that he's done. And I think not having the fans in the stands, having the lack of preseason, all the injuries, those things have to be taken into consideration. I don't think that that's necessarily Klopp's fault. And I don't think that there's a better coach for Liverpool at this point, even going through like a mini rebuild than Klopp. If they don't back Klopp this summer, he will probably stay for 1 more year. Then he will leave because of lack of backing. Yeah, I think they do have to go ahead and back him and bring in the players that he wants. I even think, the defender. You can tell me about how you guys feel about, but Kabak. I mean, is that really center back cover, or is that just another body? Because he doesn't look great. Guardiola was in the same position last year. They were writing him off. Exactly. I don't understand where this recency bias is coming in and why it's like, okay, we just forget about all the things that Klopp has done. He's been the best manager in the Premier League for the last couple of years. He's went toe to toe with Pep and has beat him, you know, with a team that hasn't been built off of oil money. He's done a lot for that club, and I just can't imagine Liverpool fans even having Klopp out talks at this point. It's just you're going through a hard point, I think that if he gets the right backing, it'll be fine. So the last thing that I just want to kind of touch on was the call. It's in this game, for Liverpool versus Everton. And you guys will know what I'm talking about, is the Trent Alexander-Arnold penalty that it really confused me. I'm still confused about the rules. I was confused about the rules when it happened because I thought, okay, well, he fouled him in the box, but he had no chance of getting the ball. So isn't that a red card, just like it was for David Luiz? And Chris Kavanagh went to the screen, looked at it for a second, deemed it a penalty, and didn't think anything else of it. And at that point, I was like, okay, so I'm really confused about the rules. I really am. But then PGMOL, I don't know, Pugmol, whatever you want to call it, the people that run the referees came out after the fact and said that it should have been a red. What the heck is going on here? I'm so freaking confused about the rules, why they apply to some people and they don't apply to others. Why wasn't Trent sent off? And if Chris Kavanagh can't do his job properly, it's becoming a joke, and I know that it's like, okay, referees make mistakes, but every single game that goes by, there's a big call or no call that we're talking about after the fact. And for the whatever they're called, Pugmall. I don't want to say it over and over again because I know I'm not saying it right. But if they come out and say it should have been a red card, and just a couple days or a couple weeks before that, they did the same thing to David Luiz and they hammered it into our brains that it's a red card because he had no chance of getting the ball, then why wasn't it upheld against Trent Alexander-Arnold? I just don't get it. At this point, it's only a red if an Arsenal player does it. I mean, I guess so. I guess so. I mean, that's what it's feeling like. I don't want to feel like it's just about Arsenal and, you know, I'm just overthinking it because I'm an Arsenal fan, but it just seems like it's just so unfair. The English officials are just not consistent when it comes to these rules. I mean, do they need to sit them down with the book and say, reread this and figure out your life? Because that just didn't make sense to me. You're telling Arsenal fans that David Luiz was meant to be sent off because he had no chance of getting the ball, and that's the loophole in that rule. You know, I see this. Thank you. but that was the loophole in that rule that made it okay for whatever his name is to send David Luiz off. Now, I mean, if the rule has not changed, Trent should have been sent off. It's just unfortunate because, and it's not like I'm like on a witch hunt where I'm like, but when it's done to you, and I mean, if we have 3 more points, we're in a different position. We were battering Wolves, and that little loophole kept us from getting those points essentially. And we see it happen a couple weeks later and nothing is done. Exactly. And that's my thing. It shouldn't be a penalty, but because it shouldn't be a penalty, but because it is, and he didn't have a chance to get the ball, and that was the loophole that was explained to us, then I want it upheld after, for everybody else, not just us only. But they need to redo the rules and figure out a way to make it okay. Because my thing is also it's too easy to get penalties now. That's why you see people like, no offense, but that's why you see people like Salah, just flopping in the box because it's so easy to get penalties now. You should be able to initiate contact in the box, and if it's shoulder to shoulder or if it's like a natural thing that would happen when you're trying to win the ball, it shouldn't just become a penalty. I even see, players dribbling away from the goal. They could be in the penalty box, but they're dribbling away from the goal and they get tripped randomly, penalty. It's not even a goal scoring opportunity if you're not really going to shoot the ball. Did I see Saliba's mistake? No. You guys, keep me updated on what's going on because I'm not watching because obviously I'm talking to you guys. So if things are happening, let me know, score lines and stuff like that. But no, what did Saliba do? I mean, was it big? Was it a penalty? What was it? Well, it's easy for 19 other teams. Yeah, I don't know. It's so annoying. But if you're watching the Nice game, tell me what Saliba did. I'm interested to know. Saliba is that big question mark that I'm still, I know there's some fans that, are apathetic to the situation at this point. They don't really care whether or not Saliba comes back. I do because I feel like that's poor resource management. We don't know what's going on. And it just seems like Arteta doesn't like him. I don't know what it is. That's what I really think too. Music by Pumpkin. I think that football is just soft at this point. Like I think you can't even touch people anymore. Like, you accidentally hit somebody and then it's a serious foul play. I mean, just the silliness at this point. Like, I personally feel like this brand or this product of football that I'm watching right now is very sterile. It's like without the fans and with the likelihood of the referee inserting himself to change the trajectory of the game, I'm finding it hard to enjoy it sometimes. I hope this is not what it is. I hope that there's not another video for Saliba. I can't handle it. I can't. What's my opinion on what's going on at Tottenham? Another defeat for them. Well, I think Jose Mourinho year 3 has just kind of sped up and happened in year 2. I think anybody that has watched Jose Mourinho just implode at multiple clubs at this point, it shouldn't be surprised at what they're seeing. He has not adapted to the modern game. He's an elite manager with an elite history that has not adapted to the modern game and is still trying to play the same football that he's played for the last 10 years in a league where that just doesn't work. He doesn't have those types of players. I mean, if you think about the squad that he has now is the same squad that Pochettino had. And Pochettino plays expansive, free-flowing, attacking football. And you're putting those types of players in a system where they're just going to sit back and play on the counter. It was never going to work. They were always overperforming their XG. And there was always going to be a time where when the numbers caught up to them, it wasn't going to work. He should have known that too. Like, I think he's just so stubborn and so egotistical that he's unwilling to be flexible in the way that he does things. And he's not playing to these players' strengths. He's just not, and the way that he ostracizes certain players, he comes straight into the club, finds a player that everybody likes or that is popular in the dressing room or something, ostracizes them, and it's just ridiculous. Like, Spurs fans should have seen this coming. They basically brought him in to try to stop the trophy, the whole trophy talk, because Jose Mourinho is known for coming straight in and getting a trophy in his first year. And I think that's all that they're really banking on, is that at this point, because they're they're in the final of the Carabao Cup and they're still in the Europa League. They're not going to qualify for Champions League through the league. So I think at this point, they're just hoping that he'll get the trophy. That's what the whole summer was about. That's what Breaking Bale was, about. It was just about creating a team good enough to win some sort of trophy. Referees supposedly explain to teams how they will marginally calls before the season starts. Doesn't seem to help with it. Nope, it doesn't. It's not helping. They have to figure out a way to make the game. I mean, why is it that other leagues don't have these problems? Other leagues, when I watch other leagues, I don't see this level of just inconsistency and inability to just carry out the rules seamlessly. It's just difficult to see. That's what I'm going with. They suck. Okay, so Saliba tried to go body to body with a winger and slipped. Then the winger drove at Saliba's center back partner and should have got a penalty. I don't know. I have to go back and look at it. I hope he doesn't have a bad game, but to be fair, everybody makes mistakes. And if he did make a mistake in this game, it's off of the back of maybe 3 or 4 really good performances. So, if he has a bad game, it happens. Yep, they've gone full Jose and it's glorious. I mean, you could have predicted this because this is what happens. It's not like it's something new. This is what Jose does. It's just sped up a lot quicker. And you could tell that they had kind of bought into it, but I was like, this type of way of playing is only fun when you're winning. If you're not winning, you don't want to play that, sitting back and playing on the counter. And it's ridiculous. I mean, he plays with like 2 CDMs behind the ball and the 4 defenders, and just pretty much just leaves like Kane in the center and Son off of the left-hand side. And they try to do the same thing over and over and over again. And they've been found out. What it looked like to me, what West Ham was doing was trying to make them, play with the ball and have possession. And West Ham was going on the counter. They pretty much just flipped it on them because it's painful to watch Spurs try to unlock teams. Painful. They have no patterns of play. They have no way of building up, from the back. They have no way of building up through, the center of the field. They have no way of playing other than plan A, which is sit back and play on the counter. And that's why it was really disappointing to me to see the way Arteta just kind of played straight into Jose's hands when we played them earlier this season. Tottenham are regressing to the mean. Kane is no longer on a hot streak. their underlying numbers were not great. Exactly. The underlying metrics always said that at a certain point. And it was the same with Arsenal to a certain extent. Our underlying metrics were not good, but as long as Aubameyang was scoring, we looked fine. Once Kane or Son fell out of form or Kane got hurt, they were always going to be in this situation. Are you doing a watch along for the match? No, I'm not, you guys. So the reason why I don't do watch alongs is because I'm not going to embarrass myself like that. You guys never want to see me watching a game. I'm not. This is not what you see. I yell. I stand up by the screen. It's not cute, and I kind of want to just be able to enjoy it, So I won't do watch alongs. If that's something that you want to see, maybe in the future, let me know. But it's not a pretty sight. It's really, I'm not a good watcher. Like it's not good. Oh, thank you. I just started this channel, so I know I don't have a lot of subscribers, but I'm hoping to build them up over time. And really for this show, I know that people like to have an opportunity to get their comments up and have somebody talk about it and, that kind of thing. So that's all this show is about. It's really more about you guys. And I think eventually what I want to do is be able to have you guys come on with me. Bulgarian Gooner, who's actually in the chat right now, he did that with me on the other channel where I had people come up with me and we talked about things and it was so much fun. So I just want this to be kind of like more of like a loose conversation, fun and all that kind of stuff. If the subscribers come, that's great. But like I said earlier, whether there's one person in the chat or 100 people in the chat, I just want this to be kind of just a fun, light conversation. That's why English officials never get called up to the World Cup. It's because they're so bad and inconsistent. You think that they would take that as like a challenge to like do better, but it just seems like they're like, oh, well, I'm just going to take my check. Forget it. Regarding Saliba, you can't judge a player on worst or best moments, have to see what the average performance is. And that's kind of where I am with Saliba. It's like he's going to have good games and bad games, but I'm going to see at the end of the season what he kind of did and where he really fell. I think he's doing good. If he has a bad game, I'm not too worried about it. I wouldn't film myself watching an Arsenal game. No, just no. No, that's what I'm saying. Like maybe a neutral game, somebody else that's not Arsenal, but during Arsenal games, maybe I'll just film like a little snippet of it so you guys can see why I don't do it. It's not fun. Yeah, you guys, if you're not subscribed yet, subscribe to the channel and share it and like it, whatever you want to do. But, if you're liking the content, let me know, and you guys can, I want you guys to, this is kind of like a trial thing. So if you guys have suggestions or, you want to see a certain type of content, just let me know. Like this is more for you guys. So I want it to be like what you guys want it to be, So thanks for bearing with me with all my snot and all that kind of stuff. I know it's not cute, but I wanted to make sure I still came on. I'm going to do this show daily. So every single day at this time, I'm going to do the exact same thing, rain or shine, snot or not. Saliba, in my opinion, is very good on the ball, but a little suspect in other aspects. He sometimes gives attackers too much time on the ball and doesn't close them down quickly enough. So that's something I've seen with the Saliba as well, is that I think that his superpower is his ability on the ball, and I do think he does decent one-on-one, but there's other aspects of his game, like you said, that need to be improved. And when I look at David Luiz and Marie and Gabrielle, Saliba is not like them. He doesn't, one thing that he doesn't have is a good long ball, which is what I think Arteta really wants from his center backs. He talked about how he really admired Virgil van Dijk being able to do those long 40-yard switches and how that was really dangerous for teams to defend against. So I'm not really sure if Arteta's interested in a center back that likes to dribble out from the back and join the attack in that way. So I'm not sure. Saliba just may not be the type of center back that Arteta likes. I haven't seen much of Saliba, but I like his size and foot speed. And I do. I like Saliba. I think he would have a good balance with Gabrielle. I think, his size, his agility and all that kind of stuff is great. But again, I'm not sure if he's what Arteta likes as a center back. they brought VAR in to correct these errors, but they just become even more worse with the technology. I think that now the referees are kind of deferring to VAR. I wouldn't be surprised if you asked a referee how they felt about VAR if they said that they didn't like it, because it adds another element of, you know, another opportunity to question the call. And I think what they're doing now is they're just not calling things and just letting VAR take it over. And that's problematic for me. I don't think VAR was implemented correctly from the beginning. Saliba is 19. He's only going to get better. I do think he's going to get better. And I think regardless of what happens with him at Arsenal, he's going to have a good career. The most important question regarding Saliba, does Arteta trust him? Doesn't look promising so far. That's what I think. I think, you know, I'm worried about it just from a resource management, you know, kind of outlook for me. And I also really like him. He's the type of center back that I like, but I'm not the coach of Arsenal. So, I think from what the way I view it, the things that Saliba's doing, even though it might seem innocent for him to be doing these interviews and saying that, when the coach changed, things for him's changed and he didn't get a good chance, under Arteta to prove himself and, all these types of things and, mocking Arteta on the Arsenal, actually like on the Arsenal account. I think that's what really sealed it for me, where I was like, I don't think he really likes Arteta. I don't think he wants to play for Arteta. If you guys remember, there was the video that came out where he said that he wasn't even an Arsenal player because he's never played for Arsenal, things like that. It may seem innocent, but these players are trained. They're trained. They have media training, so they know what they say when they're saying it. So for me, I feel like there's an underlying distrust between the two of them. The relationship doesn't look like it's good. It looks like there's some friction there. So I wouldn't be surprised if Saliba didn't come back, but I'd be disappointed if he didn't. I love Arteta. We should value what we have, in my opinion. We might regret it if we lose him. What do you think of him? So my thoughts on Arteta is that simply the way that I put it is I like Arteta and I think he's a good coach. I never doubt what he does on the training ground. I think he goes into every game as prepared as possible. But what I question about Arteta is not Arteta the coach. I question Arteta the manager. And I think he needs to improve as a manager with, managing his players. I think that he has a very blanket approach to most things, which comes off very authoritarian-like. And I think the types of players, like the modern player, needs a little bit more, you need to manage them differently. Every single player is different. So you need to manage them according to the type of player that they are, and having a blanket approach for all of your players, especially when they fall under a certain age, I don't think is necessarily beneficial to a team that's in a rebuild that needs young players, whether they actually play for the club or they are sold for a profit. I think he needs to improve in his in-game management and his substitutions. And yeah, so I think he just needs to improve in the management aspect, but the work that he's did with Saka, the work that he's done with Pepe, those are things that I can't deny. And I want to see him succeed at Arsenal. I really do. Do I think that the owners of Arsenal will back Arteta in the summer? No, I think there's already the PR is already coming out about that we're not going to have a big summer, that just releasing certain people and tearing up contracts is not going to be enough to really to spend a lot in the summer. I think maybe one player will come in, depending on who we sell, but I wouldn't expect a big summer. I don't think they're going to back him the way that he needs to be backed. With a Saliba type center back, you can defend large spaces better and push the team upfield. He's still young. Sounds like he needs to work on his starting position. Seems he prioritizes getting into one-on-one. Yeah, I think so. I think what I'd like to see is another quick type of center back like Gabriel come in, whether it's Saliba or not. So like you said, we can push up the pitch a little bit more. As good as Holding has done, he's not physically capable to help us push up the pitch. He's a little slow, and David Luiz likes to hang back because he's afraid of pace. So yes, I agree. The type of defender Saliba is would allow us to push up. Referees using VAR is like when you switch from moving a flip phone to the latest iPhone. Yeah, exactly. Great analogy. What are my opinions on when Xhaka came to Arsenal? We just came in second in the Prem, and Arsenal were considered to have one of the best midfields in the league. Since then, we never made the top. So we did a video, or we did a show not too long ago about the decline of Arsenal. We kind of touched on this a little bit, that we came in second with a really, really good team, and we didn't really build on that, and we brought in players that didn't really make sense. And then we come the very next season, we came in like fifth. So for me, I think the issue with Xhaka, I think he gets a lot of unfair stick, and a lot of the failures of Arsenal are placed on them, within the narrative that when he came, we just started to be bad, but that's not what it really is. If you look at Xhaka and you've watched him play for Switzerland, he's always played with a mobile box-to-box player. When he came to Arsenal, when he first started playing, he was playing with Cazorla. Then Cazorla got hurt, and he was playing with Ramsey, and he didn't have somebody to play with kind of like in that pivot. So it left him exposed. He needs to play with a mobile box-to-box player. That's the only way that he thrives. When he plays with somebody like Thomas Partey, which is what we've seen this season, he's a good player. There's nothing wrong with Xhaka in terms of he's probably not the type of player that we want to bank on long term, but in terms of the short term, he needs to play with somebody that helps him. And I think it was stupid of Arsenal to bring in a player like Granit Xhaka, who has it's very obvious the way you need to structure the midfield around him to get the most out of him, and to pay 35 million and not do that. So I think Xhaka and the conversation about us being in decline is not necessarily about Xhaka. It's about the way we've built the squad over the last couple of years. The best, most underrated but important quality in a defender is how they deter opposition going through their zone. Determining if he has that quality will take time. Exactly. We're still in the beginning of, seeing what kind of defender Saliba is. He's going to develop, so we'll see what kind of defender he actually becomes in time. Xhaka has played with Santi, Ramsey, Ozil, and Wilshere. Yes, he has, but are any of those players similar to Thomas Partey? They're not. He needs that type of player next to him he's not a true CDM. He can't sit back there by himself. He needs somebody to release some of the pressure from him. And the type of players that Ozil, Wilshere, and Ramsey are, especially with their inconsistencies in terms of, injuries and things like that, doesn't give him the correct foil to be successful. Unless we win the Europa, we can't expect the club to splash cash in the summer. Still think we'll strengthen one or two top players, though. Yeah, I'm thinking like one. And you know me, Basuma. That's who we should go get. I think center midfield is where we need the most strengthening at this point, but that's just me. But if they don't back him, it's going to be even harder for Arteta to make top four, or even Europa League. Yeah, but that's where we are. We have a self-sustaining model with, the Kroenkes. If you don't know about the Kroenkes, you don't know about KSE, a lot of their money comes through real estate. And with the pandemic, real estate is not doing well. Neither is retail, so they're not necessarily, the money that they make, the billions that they make, don't necessarily just come out of their pocket and go into transfers. That's not how it works. They signed up for a self-sustaining model, and over time, they didn't do the right things in order to make it a successful self-sustaining model. So at this point, we need them to splash the cash, but they won't, and they can't, so I don't expect it to happen. And, it just is what it is. We'll see where we finish. Sorry to drum on this, but the best analogy to Arteta is Pep. when he took over at Barca, the Barca squad, except in this case, very bad squad and a mess of management above him. His quality is all there to see. Look, um, I would love to think that Arteta is similar to Pep. I think that he does have some similarities to Pep in the way that he views the game and things like that. And only time will tell if he's, you know, similar to Pep in the long term. But, I don't really know at this point. Conference League, here we come, no problem. So yeah, what is this Europa League conference or whatever? It's like the next level. Is it like another level down from Europa League? What is that? But yeah, this has been good, you guys. I really enjoyed this. Even though I'm like, I'm just waking up. So for the beginning, I was kind of like in a haze, but as we went on, it got good, you guys. I really like talking to you guys and putting your comments up and just having a chat. This was really fun. If you guys like this, like the video, subscribe to the channel, share it, and come for the next one. Again, tomorrow, I'll be doing the exact same thing, exact same time, and tell your friends and all that kind of stuff. And don't be afraid to get in the comment section and give me, some pointers or some suggestions. I'm very open to that type of thing. And hopefully we have a good performance from Arsenal today. I'm hoping for it. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So again, I've enjoyed this and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye guys.